All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's March Lunch and Learn. We have a treat for you, but first we'll have a message from our president, USA branch, Randy Hannafin.
Hello, welcome everybody. Appreciate you being here. We're trying to increase the lunch and learns, and we've got a great presenter, Chief Nugent, today to talk about our 501c3s. You can also check out any of our past presentations on our YouTube channel, which is posted up in the meeting chat. And I won't take any more time away from Chief Nugent, but thank you for being here and appreciate your involvement in the branch.
Thank you, sir. I would like to remind everyone that I have copied the link. If you'll just go to the link and again, put in your name as you'd like for it to appear on your certificate and the email that you would like to receive your certificate to. We'll get that sent out to you as soon as we can. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Chief Mark Nugent. He's a member of Horry County Fire Rescue. He serves as assistant to the fire chief, managing all the department's professional standards, community risk reduction efforts. Chief, prior to joining Horry County Fire Rescue, he worked 35 years at Chesterfield, Virginia Fire and EMS and served for 4 years as the Chief of Emergency Services in Middlesex County, Virginia, a year as a PIO of Horry Fire Rescue, and 4 years as Division Chief Fire Marshal for Midway Fire Rescue. Chief has an associate's degree in fire science, associate's degrees in EMS management, bachelor in organizational management, as well as a master's in public administration. He's an active member of the South Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs, South Carolina Firefighters Association, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and a member of Fire Rescue International Program Planning Committee, the Southeastern Association of Fire Chiefs, South Carolina Fire Marshal Association, and also a member of IFE USA branch. Chief Nugent, South Carolina Certified Fire Marshal, has awarded Chief Officer designation from SIPSI in 2019. It was presented a Fire Safety Commendation Award from the Sons of American Revolution. He has a wife, Miss April. They live in Morels Inlet, South Carolina. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, with their two, and these are his words, not mine, ornery cats, both Phoebe and Oakley. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Chief Nugent, and his topic is going to be on establishing a 501c in your organization. Chief, welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the introduction. Let me get my slides up here. Hopefully everybody can see those. I appreciate you all taking your time today to spend a little time listening to me talk about establishing a 501c3 organization. I'm going to get on past some of this. Just a little bit about my organization. Got to brag a little bit about Horry County Fire Rescue. Our county sits just south of North Carolina on the Atlantic Ocean. It's a large county, 1,255 square miles, and about 2.5 million tourists. If you've heard of the community of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, they're one of the incorporated towns within Horry County. We have 5 or 6 different incorporated towns throughout the county, but your typical combination of volunteer career service. We got about 520 career members. We operate out of 21 combination stations. We have a bunch of ambulance only stations, and just about every other thing that any other normal, really a suburban and rural fire department together have. Last year we ran just shy of 77,000 calls, and we will go past that this year. I'm very confident. Just a couple of things. I got to recognize my fire chief, Joey Tanner, who's also an IFE member, very supportive of what we're doing with our 501c3, and just a couple of pictures of what the folks from Horry County do for us every day. We're a busy organization and just getting busier. But when we'll jump into the topic, I'm going to put these up there, then we can talk about this. We'll talk about developing a community group, which is sort of the core base of your 501c3. Talking about how you establish a public charity focus. We'll discuss the initial paperwork filings you need for your 501c3. And then I'll go into a little bit of meeting customers on a good day and talk about a few grant opportunities that come with a 501c3. and what I feel is important of recognizing donors and grantors, folks that help you out. And then again, I will be glad to take questions and answers, work as much as get the answer you need. If it's questions that come up as we go along, just speak up, or if you want to type them in the box. I think maybe Pecky or somebody, I think Pecky may do it, but somebody will read those questions off at the end. But again, if you have something while we're going along, please, you're not doing anything but adding to the program. So we talk about your community group. You want to think about partnerships with the 501c3. Putting a group together that you do business with, I would say on a good day. And this list of folks I put here, I'll start with the school system, and we talk about community risk reduction and getting out in the community. We've got an extremely large school system in our county, and it's I call it a captive audience. That's probably a bad way to say it, but the folks that we want to interact with and make an impact with on making our community safer, for probably 9 months of the year, they're right there in those schools. And I say the primary school system with elementary, but we can't forget about our middle school kids, our high school kids, and right along with that, houses of worship. It's a great network out there to partner with those folks. Again, they're there to help the community too, so it's a great partnership. Our friends from law enforcement, we do a lot of work with them. Our sheriff's office, I'll talk about a little while. Our sheriff's office has a 501c3, and already talking about some partnerships with them as ours gets up and running. Healthcare facilities, and we have quite a few of them around here. When I see healthcare facilities, I think about money, and it sounds bad, but you always look for the partnerships and for the funding streams. Your media representatives, having them on you, and having them friends and not allies or not foes is a good thing. So think about media folks. Retirees, there's a large group of retirees. Our community has about 7,842 golf courses and about 12,495 alligators. We got a little of each, but there's plenty of golf. It's a lot of retirees from a lot of fire departments all over the United States that live here. Colleges, if you have a college in your community, what a great place to do a lot of good work with. Business and industry, real estate representatives, civic leaders, past grantors, keep those people, they're great board members. Your senior population, I'm very much attuned to that. There's somewhere to fit a volunteer in your organization, whether they want to ride a fire engine or an ambulance, or whether they want to sit on your board or do customer service work. So that's a great group to tap into in your health department and your social services department. This sort of ends up being the foundation of what your community group looks like that you put together, that you will need a board of directors to start this, and that's part of the paperwork we'll talk about, but this is a good group good core group to start pulling from. You want to think about your 501c3 being a public charity. You will be trying to gain funds from other grantors, really from other corporations, from nonprofits, and then you'll use those funds as a public charity focus, and that's worded and verbiage you want to have in your bylaws and your articles of incorporation. 5 areas that jumped out. We were very successful in Chesterfield with this. It'll probably be mirrored just like this, the way it is now when the one from Horry County comes on board. The first thing we did with the funds and the core of it was to assist citizens during and after emergencies. We don't want to compete with our friends from the Red Cross. We want to make sure they know what we're doing and they know we're not competing with them. But if there's ways to help people, a perfect example in Chesterfield County, right now, at least when I left there, it's been 10 years. There may be more money. That's $100. It's $100 in cash on every piece of rolling stock. Every engine, every ladder truck, every medic unit had $100 in cash. That money came straight from the nonprofit, and it was used to do customer service work. It may be to put somebody in a hotel. It may be to feed somebody after their house they burnt their kitchen up. We call it a culinary mishap. Or it may be the the single mother in the home with 5 kids and no food, and they pull that money out and they buy groceries. So there's a lot of things they can do with that. There's not a lot of rules tied to it as far as what they can or can't do. They don't have to jump through a lot of hoops to spend that money. They have to have some receipts and some justifications afterwards, but it's very accessible to them, and it provides immediate assistance. We utilize these funds for community risk reduction initiatives. So whether we're buying little fire helmets or stop the bleed kits or AEDs to teach with, to CPR dummies, to coloring books, anything tied back to community risk reduction. Smoke alarms, I'm blessed. I work for an organization. We purchase them out of our budget, smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors by the pallet loads. But it's a great way to be able to utilize the nonprofit to buy some of those items for your organization. So anything you can wrap around community risk reduction. Professional development and education. If it's a means to help your firefighters stay on top of their education, stay on top of their professional development. It may be paying for a college class. It may be sending someone to a local or really a state or a national conference. It could be to bring an instructor in to teach a program where we could really get a big bang for our buck and be able to teach a lot of folks at one time. But definitely utilize those funds for professional development, education, operational enhancements. The monies we had in Chesterfield and the monies I see here in Horry County, we wouldn't be able to buy a new ladder truck, but we can surely say, hey, we want to test some new gas monitors. We want to try this new thermal imager. We want to put carbon monoxide small alarms on every EMS kit that goes in and out of people's houses. So things like that we can help with. It's great to be able to do that again. And we're not tapping into the fire department's budget per se. It's a great testing field for stuff like that. And then service recognition is the last one. You know, it's sort of a give back recognition to the members, whether it's coffee mugs or golf shirts or pullovers or beanies or whatever it is they like and want. We utilize those funds for that. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the community. The people that wear those golf shirts serve the community, the operational enhancements serve the community, the education, the risk reduction, and obviously helping those folks out. But they're the 5 sort of tenets that we operate our 501c3 on and put that money to good use. I'm trying to, as far as what is involved, the organizations described in the section of the 501c3 are commonly referred to as a charitable organization. That's how you would set your paperwork up. That's how you would do your articles of incorporation, your bylaws. Everything falls back to charitable organizations. And a few slides from now that there will be some information, some websites you can go to. And a lot of this information is laid out right on the website. I'm trying to make my screen do a little something different, but this will work. The main reason the whole 501c3 came into play, probably it's been 20 years now. You could easily have a group of folks that said they had a charitable organization and they would collect monies. And let's say they collected $100,000 to give to the local fire department. They collected money for the fire department. They collected $100,000 and they took 1,000 of it and gave to the fire department. They took the other 95,000 and they had their business meeting, I don't know, down in the U.S. Virgin Islands, because it's still the United States. They didn't tell anybody how much money they actually gave to the fire department, and they were, how you say it, mean people, I think is a way to describe that. And with that said, the IRS set up a system to ensure an organization is who they say they are. So there are some checks and balances in that whole 501c3 system that worked really well, and it caused you to do what we have to do now to create that 501c3. The good thing is the IRS wants you to get it. They're very friendly to work with. It's a lengthy process, but it vets it. So if you go to a foundation's website that gives money to organizations like fire and rescue organizations, when you go to their foundation's website, a lot of them, when you go on them, the first thing they do is a block jumps up. Are you a 501c3? Yes or no? And if you click yes, because you have your number, you keep moving through the system. If you check no, it basically takes you to the screen that says, you know, thank you for your interest. Come back when you have your 501c3. They will not touch anything that you have. The process can take a year, easily up to a year to get done. Can be done faster. The good thing is if it's something that's missing, they don't like the way something is written. They will correspond back with you and tell you that this is not correct and this is what it should say. I've helped a lot of organizations work on this process, and they tell you word for word how to write what it is to make sure it passes muster with them. So it's cumbersome, but they help you through the process. But it's required by these non-federal grantors. I mean, the typical ones a lot of fire departments look at are AFG grants, safer grants, fire prevention. You don't have to have your 501c3 to do those, but most of the big foundations, the community foundations, the family foundations, they're going to require that before they make an award. But it's several steps, and we will go through these here in the next couple of slides. And every state has requirements in addition to the IRS. Again, I'll have on a slide. It's a link to it's a federal website, but they've got every state listed out. So it takes you to the particular state's office that deals with nonprofit groups at their state level, because both are involved. So there are state level things that have to be done as well. Core components. One of the chiefs and I were talking before we started about having a group, and they really had to work with the local folks, and that's what we're going through now with Horry County, is make the sale to the local government leadership. Now it's nothing. The group that's on here today, if we all lived on a big cul-de-sac in a community together, we're all neighbors and we're friends, nothing precluding us from starting a 501c3, following all the rules, and our main function would be to support the local fire department. And this is how I explain this to some of the government leaders, and particularly the budget folks and the audit folks, is nothing would preclude them from doing that. And they came to us and said, hey, we're going to give you some equipment. We've raised a bunch of money. What do you need? And we tell them, and they donate it to us. I think we would take it. It always gets a little, we'll call it goofy, when the folks start looking at monies flowing back and forth, and it's not through the internal audit people, the finance people, and procurement rules. And you know, you have to follow all of those sort of things as a board on a 501c3, but you can also sidestep some of that to be able to get what you need when you need, and you cut a lot of red tape out. And one thing we did in Chesterfield, we'll do here, I've suggested to the other folks, a lot of different organizations that we've helped do this process. When you get audited each year, to take your final audit and give the first copy to the jurisdiction's internal auditor and let them review it. Very, very transparent to make sure they understand what it is you're doing. And that sort of keeps everybody happy. But you have to make the sale to the local government. You have to create that community coalition. We talked about that in really one of those early slides, all that group there. So you have to put that group together. The state's very specific on how many board members you have to have. South Carolina, you don't have to have but 3 board members. And ironically, that they don't have to live in South Carolina. So you don't have to have this huge board. Start small, and the board can be as active as you want them to be. Would get that group together and fall back on your friends, on folks that you work with. I talked about other grantors, and everybody knows, particularly the fire chief level folks, know those folks in the community that would be good board members. You only have to meet once a year is what the rules say here, but you can meet more than that. But you let those board members be as active or inactive as they want to, but they need to be engaged. And I jumped ahead a little bit, but get that board of directors. You have to have a president. You have to have a secretary treasurer. I sit on the board when I was in Chesterfield as a non-voting member. Actually, myself and our budget director sit on that board. We did not vote. We did not sign checks, but we were able to keep a sort of pulse of what was going on in the board like that because they looked to us as far as the needs. The bylaws, and I reckon the next one is articles of incorporation. Both of those are state level items that are required through maybe a state corporation commission. A lot of the states have templates out there you can use. If somehow I will get the probably the easiest thing, my last slide's got my email on it. If you like some of the boilerplate information I have, take a picture of that last slide, shoot me an email, and I will send you some good, strong bylaws as well as articles of corporation for a 501c3. You don't have to start out with a blank sheet of paper is what I'm saying. I'll be glad to share that with you. And because I probably borrowed those from someone 15 years ago and made them work for the particular situation. But if you go on that state page, and that link's on here in a little while, a lot of times the states have the actual boilerplate right on there. Again, they're going to make you follow the process, but they help you along with that. Utilizing assistance from a CPA and a lawyer. You don't have to have a lawyer to do this. Obviously, it comes with the cost. I sort of had a lawyer on our board in Chesterfield. We had a CPA on the board, so that worked a lot. But you don't have to have a lawyer to do this work. If you've got one that wants to take a peek at it, obviously that's good stuff. Particularly if you can do it, and the peek may cost you a lunch or something with that person. Our CPA, I will say, the CPA on our board did not do our audit. We went to a third service group to do the 501c3's audit every year. And that's something you're going to have to do as you start writing grant proposals, particularly to the bigger foundations, that they will want to see your most recent audit. They will ask for that document. And you also have to get your IRS EIN, your employee identification number. And again, that's an easy thing to do through the IRS's site. And in one of the slides coming up, I'll have those links that you go to do that with. But that's the core components of getting this thing started. It looks like a lot, it is a lot, but it's very doable. And again, you complete all the state and the IRS filings. You do the state stuff first, you get your EIN as part of the IRS side of it. You put that package together and that goes to the IRS with the form that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. So you do your initial filing, and I'll say this, it'll come up again, but when you go through all this and you get your 501c3 designation, it is I'm going to use the word temporary. The first time you get that, you'll get the letter, it'll have your 501c3 number in it. It'll look like an employee ID number or employee number that the feds pass out. That is a temporary number that's as good as gold, and it lasts for 5 years. And what they're saying is you have 5 years to prove that you're still doing what you're supposed to do. You fill all your paperwork out, everything. But that first one, when you get it, it's a 5-year period that it's still temporary. The state filing links. When I get all these down, it'll be 3 or 4 more. Like say, snap a picture, and those links are easy. It's an IRS link, but it's inside of it. It has a link to every state that talks about nonprofits and charities, as it says right there. So that's a great resource. And again, you're going to have to go through those state offices in the beginning of this. The 1023, that's the IRS's form. That there's an instruction form on there. The I-1023, again, at that link, everything is right at your fingertips as far as what's required. And I just said that earlier, your preliminary designation will be granted first, and it's good for 5 years. And then you fill all your IRS, SEC filing requirements each year. You turn your taxes in. You don't pay taxes, but you have to show what you brought in and what you sent out. And the SEC will send you something to say, here's your list of board members. Please check the ones that are still there, delete the ones that are not there, and add anybody new. And that has to be done every year. All of these things come with a little $50 here and $100 there. And I think some of the initial filing fees for the feds are in the hundreds of dollars. But just a side note that they do come with those. Fancy, the bottom one jumps up first. Get your tax exempt status, which is part of the whole 501c3. Again, it's at IRS 557. There's the link for that. The 4220 is the form you fill out. One sort of an instruction form. That was actually the form you send out. And then there's where you go to get your employee identification number. They're the links for all of those. I don't know that I've put it further in here, but you are going to need that employee identification number to establish a checking account. And I'm going to go off script. When you get the checking account, it needs 2 lines on it. That means 2 people have to sign every check. It's my professional opinion to stay away from the company credit cards. The less things like that, the better. If it's something that you do it somehow to have it where a couple people have to even sign off on receipts. One of our audits I went through, they give suggestions that you pass your audit, but they say we suggest you do the A, B, and C. And one of those was the 2 members that had nothing to do with the money reviewed the checks and balances on all the expenditures and all the money that was brought in during that prior month. So that was something that the auditor asked to do to make it a stronger product, a stronger organization, and we did that. Ongoing requirements. So you get that temporary designation that lasts for 5 years. So all the administrative requirements for a 501c3, you have to turn in a tax return. It's either a 990 or 990 EZ. That's based on how much money goes in and out, what's on the books, but that has to be filled out. And again, you don't have to pay taxes. It's a tax exempt organization, but you do have to fill the 990 out every year and submit it just like anybody would turn their taxes in each year. So that's something that's critical to do. Your state level, we talked about that for a second. Anything to do with your articles, your bylaws, and your board of directors, they're going to want to see all of that. And they send you a list, and you check off, or you delete, or you add new people on. So that does have to be done every year. Again, that's one of these things that have to be done to maintain this. And you'll get a certified financial audit. And it is a specialty field. Not every CPA will do a audit for a nonprofit group. So you sort of shop around and talk to friends, and it can be expensive in the thousands of dollars. It can also be a donation to the organization from that group by that firm. So work that the best way you can, but that's something that has to be done. And a side note to that is it has to be done because most of the grantors are going to want to see a copy of it when you turn in your grant proposal. So that will a lot of times will be a part of that. You have to have your full board of directors meeting. Again, it's a yearly process. You bring them to the fire station, you provide them lunch. I always wanted to see our prior year's budget and wanted to see a wish list of things we were looking for in the future year. And then they handed it back to us and said, you all need what you all know what you need. So just everything looks good. Keep moving forward. And most of our board members were very accessible if you had a question or an idea and you wanted some help. But other than that, we tried to make sure we kept them in the loop of what the department was doing. Those folks got invited to graduation ceremonies, promotion ceremonies, award ceremonies, and it's usually some horsepower in that room. And those folks all had checkbooks. I'm proud to say we had somebody from a little company called Philip Morris USA, another one that owned the biggest Miller distributorship in 3 states, an attorney, the Walmart manager, the Allstate lady. We had the people that wrote checks to us on our board, and that worked very well. Again, that full designation comes in 5 years. You just keep on doing what you're doing. You don't have to stop any of that stuff. You get a system down, and that may even make it the board could be a subcommittee of the board to get everything done each year. So pass those things out. We utilize incident command charts to run most of the stuff we did, just like we do every day at work. And we put all the things like that on there, so there's no question on who is responsible for doing what. Sustainability tips. I'm famous for getting ahead of myself, but that working group engagement, the president, the treasurer, the department members, the at-large members, that has to be ongoing. Those members need to stay in place. Let them decide how active they want to be or not be. And I did have the 2 signature checks here, but I can't say enough about the oversight. You could do a whole nother program on mismanagement of funds and what federal prison these people stayed in, because I can go down a laundry list of that. Again, 2 signature checks, that monthly audit from 2 members that have nothing to do with the money. Stay away from the credit cards. Keep receipts for everything. It's simple stuff you would think everybody would do, but some people tend not to, and that's what gets them in trouble. And then all those administrative requirements. It sounds like a broken record here, but there was a burn foundation back in Virginia, the Central Virginia Burn Foundation. Chief Rubin probably is familiar with it. One of the captains in Chesterfield was the heart and soul of it. But they had somebody on the board that's cousin's aunt's mother's niece. Her husband was a CPA and he would do it for free. And I kid you not, they stuck all their tax stuff in a bottom desk drawer somewhere, and they lost their 501c3 because they didn't file everything.
I remember it well, Chief.
It was ugly. They got it back. God love G. David Brown, who's the board member of ours that's the CPA that helped us with our initial filings. He unraveled all that and saved that for them, but it got them in trouble really quick. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do all this work and then not do the follow-up. But again, at the end, it says that audit report to local government, internal audit director, that's important, is be friends with that person and ask them for suggestions. But I think being very transparent and making sure they're in the loop on that gives them a little bit of peace of mind. So that's sort of the paperwork side of this. Then it's time to sort of shake the tree and see if some money will fall out of it. Relationship building, and I'm preaching to the choir here, meeting people on a good day. You have to do that all the time. There's some of our good day meetings. And none of these involved an emergency incident. If the truck company's sweeping up the business, what's left of it in a dustpan and put it in a paper bag to give the owner, it's probably a bad time to ask for a donation. So do everything you can to do these good day meetings and meeting people on good days. And that's just some pictorial showing of some of these things that have been involved in departments that we've been involved in. So you got to ask yourself, with these good day meetings, are you meeting people? Are you taking the opportunities or you making the opportunities? And I reckon taking them is when they bring them to your doorstep, or when they ask you for something, when they come by the station and want something, they want the Girl Scouts to come through, they want to nickel tour. They want you to come and speak at their Sunday school meeting. That you take that opportunity. I want you to sort of rewire your brain so you start making opportunities. Get involved in community groups. Happy to say that the chief and I are going to be at a big HOA meeting tomorrow. The retired groups, I asked the lady, how long do I have to talk? She said, Chief, these people are retired. You can stay in there all day and talk if you want to. I said, well, as some of you all know, I probably could, but that's a group that's ready to go. We're teaching CPR to this particular HOA group here, but get hold of the community groups or the more formal ones. We have a lot of HOAs in Horry County, so getting your arms wrapped around those and getting out to those full meetings they have to talk about some community risk reduction stuff will pay dividends in the end. Civic clubs, they meet every week. Those groups are set up to help the community, and the only way they're gonna know what your fire department needs is if you show up at those meetings and talk to them. We talked about the houses of worship earlier. Getting there, does it mean being there on a different day or Saturday or Sunday to go do that? Yes, it does, but it's well worth it. Get with your Chamber of Commerce and see what you can do to help those folks. Piggyback on somebody else's planned events. We'll talk about partnerships later. Schools, colleges, homeschools. Our arson investigator, one of them has an accelerant dog, and we're paying money to get the distilled gasoline that dog worked with every day because he worked to eat. And after a little bit of checking that we have a local college here, it's a lot of small and coastal Carolinas here. Now somebody in their chemistry lab is making that for us, and all we have to do is drive down the street 20 minutes and it's free. So make those relationships. Again, I talked about the media. Meet them on a good day. They're going to be there on the bad days. But television folks, the radio folks, the print media, television, radio are always looking for a feel-good story. You ought to always have one in your back pocket and ready to go. And because they're going to look for them on those slow news days, be ready to go to work with them. Same thing with the print. Keep your websites active, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. We're blessed. We have a great PIO here we work with that works with us through the county and does a lot of good work, keeping us in the forefront. Again, speaking opportunities, ask to go to these meetings. Find out when they are, invite yourself. You can't be shy. And this is sort of a repeat on some of the community stuff. Real estate organizations, builders and contractors. When I was the fire marshal next door for 4 or 5 years, I convinced several of the builders who were putting up the 4 and 5 story condo units, apartment buildings. The code says you have to have a hardwired battery operated smoke alarm. Doesn't say anything about a 10-year battery, it says a battery. So it took a little sit down and eat lunch and discuss what we wanted and some education, and darn if they said, we'll do that. So got a lot of those put in just from the conversation and talking to these folks. So get out there and be seen. I'm gonna pop these ahead. I can see them. Create the Department 101 and a 201 program that talks about who you are, where you are, what you provide, and on and on. Everything about your organization. It's a leave behind. You could put this on a 10 or 12 slide PowerPoint presentation, get it out to the battalions, get it out to the stations. It's no reason a lieutenant or a captain or battalion chief can't give that same presentation, but take some of this work out of it. They may be nervous about getting it together, but having one common program, it also lends to consistency as you talk to these groups. But it doesn't have to be one person doing it all. And then have a leave behind document. This is a yearly process. You work through it all the time. Statistics, incidents, accomplishments, and then the nonprofit group. Talk about that. And every time you speak, something that you leave behind for these folks. You put smoke alarms up. You leave this behind with them. And tells them, hey, the smoke alarm's free, the nonprofit group paid for them. If you want to donate, here's all the information. It's no stronghold. It's no high pressure. It's just getting that information in front of them. And then how to contact us. And everybody loves pictures. So have something like that gets left in everybody's hand. Don't wait for an emergency to meet the community. We're paying catch up then. That's why my message with all of this. Grantors, they give money for 3 reasons. They want to solve problems in these areas. They're the 5 leading areas that they give funds to. And that's just data from the grant world. They want to build community resources, whether it's schools or medical facilities, senior centers. They want to, biggest ones, they want to improve the quality of life where their employees live. So you got a big company coming into a jurisdiction, they want to make sure that there are good schools and good parks and medical facilities in that community. That's why a lot of the big grantors give these monies out to build those community resources up. But one thing you'll notice, not on here, but the community and the corporate grantors like to see partnerships. They don't like it, they love to see partnerships. They want to see people working together, being collaborative, coming up with an end goal, and everybody playing well in the sandbox. The key to that is from a grant perspective, from a project perspective, be happy with a piece of the pie. Don't come to the table from a funding perspective and want the whole pie. Be happy with a slice of it. Be happy to be a part of a partnership. Every once in a while downstream, then you'll end up getting that whole pie. Now here's what they give to. I said a little bit earlier. Education, healthcare, human services, youth and seniors, and arts and culture. They are the 5 leading areas that foundations, philanthropists give money to. That's a known fact. Ironically, though, you didn't see us on that slide. If you Google up fire and EMS grants, fire department grants, rescue squad grants, emergency services grants, you'll probably come up with very, very, very little. So the hard work is, I would suffice it to say that the fire service, our business has educational needs. But it's not the reading, writing, arithmetic that those folks are tuned into. It's for us to teach school kids, teachers, all hazards taught, community risk reduction. It's for citizens, teaching risk reduction efforts, emergency preparedness, for firefighters, teaching them knowledge, skills, and abilities, giving scholarships. And with that picture up there, I do say that person on that front porch there does definitely need some education. Healthcare needs. So we involved in the healthcare every day, all day. I think we're involved in it about 86% of the time on the last numbers. So we provide EMS services. We do injury prevention. We do community paramedicine. We do youth. We could do inoculations. We do wellness checks for seniors. And that picture right there, I can guarantee you that little red heart suit is hot as blue blazes in the middle of the summer. Because I was in it right before that young lady was. Human service needs, non-emergency, post-incident work, providing food, clothing, and shelter to the citizens. Long-term needs, whether it's their medicine, their transportation, having a customer service unit, again, doing wellness checks across our community. Again, that's again one of these top areas. Youth and seniors, big time place to do the public education. Even the federal grants that they look for that target area, I think it's over 65 and under 7 or 8 or 9 years old. So that's a big target for them. Partnerships, again, we talked to go where the people are, the YMCAs, the senior centers, they're there. And recruiting members, whether it's career or volunteer members. And the last area, arts and culture. Go to the customers. That's a big wine and jazz festival I had, one of the communities I worked in. That tent was packed every Friday night, all during the summer. You didn't get in the tent. You could stand out in the field for a little bit of money. It costs you a lot of money to sit under the tent. But the customers are there. Build the partnerships with these people. They can become funding partners. Unless you ask them, they may not even know it, but they can do a benefit, an event that supplies the money, and the fire department becomes a beneficiary. A lot of music events like this, a lot of community events. So these go on all of our community every day, everywhere. But we have to do the tie back to our business, not just those 5 overhead areas. Community folks, everybody's got the local grocery store, the private hospital, the small family foundations, all the service clubs. They're right there in the community. The local grocery store manager would probably hand you water or Gatorade or snacks or whatever all day long. The private foundations would give small amounts of money. But that's right there at that community level, downtown USA. National tie places, big box store managers, the Walmarts, the Lowe's, the Home Depots, the Aces, your Allstate agent, your State Farm agent, the Costco manager. Again, they're local companies, but they have major league national foundation ties. The Walmart manager can probably hand you $500 gift cards right out of the till any day he wants to. He's got that money right there. Your donation, you want the one with a couple more zeros on the end of it. So you look at these corporate foundations. Allstate has a corporate foundation. Walmart, HCA, probably the largest hospital corporation of America, hospital corporation in the nation. FM Global, Costco, State Farm, they're all over the places. They're Main Street USA everywhere is going to have most of these places there. Lowe's, Home Depot, Motorola has a big foundation. Firehouse Subs has a big foundation. So the money's there. But every one of those on the screen, you'll have to have the 501c3 number in your back pocket before you get there. My word of advice about any of those, don't go to that national foundation without partnering with the local manager. Don't do an end run on the Walmart. I can tell you the foundation folks probably still 15, 20 years later that I work with, probably on their first name basis. But I would dare go to the Allstate Foundation without having the local Allstate person holding hands with them. All of them the same way. So don't do the end runs. Is it the bigger money? Yeah, but do it with that local manager. State stuff, again, snap a picture. Google up. The internet's an amazing thing, but if you just put fire department grants, they will come up empty. But if you put Fortune 500 companies, you'd be surprised what may be in the state you live in or the city you live in. That there's a Fortune 500 company there. So look at things like that. Easy to do that and make those contacts. And then recognize these folks. If they're going to go out of your way to donate to you, recognize them over and over and over again, but only do what they want to. Because some of them don't want anything, and some of them want a parade. That means putting them on the fire engine and driving them down Main Street and having a parade and then have the parade. But if they said we don't want to be recognized, because in reality, a lot of the big ones don't want anything. I've been given money the fire department has by a huge company that we worked with. We got it, the schools got it, the police department got it. And they didn't want anybody to say a word about it because they said there'd be a line of people lined up in front of the building the next day wanting that. So we respected that. But here's some things you can do with them. Keep them in the loop all the time. Invite them to those events. Do ride-along programs. Put them with the right company and the right battalion chief. Go to their location. Visit them when you don't need anything. You can show up without sticking your hand out, and have a cup of coffee, and just say you're coming by to check on them. Give them speaking opportunities. You're always looking for speakers for graduations or dedications, award ceremonies. Provide public education opportunities. The school system, 2 or 3 of us taught fire extinguisher training to just about 100 maintenance workers from the entire school system yesterday. Spent half the day, a darn good investment. And put them on the mailing list. If there's things to send to them, by all means do that. So, we talked about developing the community group, making it a public charity. We talked about all the different filings that had to go on with this. Meeting customers on a good day. All those untapped grant opportunities that are out there. It's amazing. You ride down Main Street, USA, the funds that are there. And then the recognition part. And probably the last thing I'll say is thank y'all for listening to me for a little while. I hope I prompted a couple of thoughts. If you got some questions, be glad to listen to them. Take a picture of that with my email on it. I would be glad to send you that information or stay in touch. As my phone number, the little Twitter handle there. And all of everybody in this class today, our good friend Chief Brunacini would say, prevent harm, survive, and be nice. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chief. And we'll take a few minutes if anyone has any questions for Chief Nugent.
Yeah, Chief, this is Chris Riley. Hey, the information you shared, I mean, it was great. Not only the topic of what you're talking about, but I took some notes, and shoot, you could apply this to every aspect of the fire service in terms of customer service.
Absolutely. I think when you're nice to folks, they probably give you the key to the castle and the customer service. And we stress it here. I've seen it pay off in a good way, but it's a part of that. I think the community wants to be involved. You just got to figure out who and why, and you have to go to them. You can't be shy. They're not going to be standing on your doorstep. You're going to have to go out and create this. But a community our size, which it's big. It's a lot of stuff here. It's a lot of manufacturing. It's a lot of tourists here. And those folks want to be involved in things. I sit on a few boards here outside of the fire department. It's just amazing the good stuff that gets done.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. Good information today. And like I said, I took some notes, and I'm just thinking that one of the themes you mentioned was you're meeting folks mostly on a good day, and you need to capitalize on that and take advantage of it rather than just to focus on when we meet them on their worst day, which does happen, but that's probably not the time to ask them for involvement and stuff like that. But good job.
Thank you, Chief. Good seeing you.
You too.
Chief Nugent, I took some notes, especially on the way that you search for grants.
Yes, ma'am.
That was one of the things I get asked a lot, especially right now, about ballistic protection. And in searching, there's none for fire service or EMS services that can help out. But the search engines that you talked about and how to do that, the Fortune 500s, I think that will prove beneficial for a lot of these services that are really getting ramped up for TECCs and rescue task forces and just protecting their personnel in today's environment.
Well, it's again, the stuff is out there. You as you start working with these folks, particularly these bigger corporations, and they somewhere along the line there's a tie. Somebody was in the fire service. Somebody had a fire, God forbid. Somebody got hurt. And in each of those themes, the fire department had been down the front row helping them. So that they understand that, but that unfortunately, and I say this is our fault, the fire service fault. I don't know if I've ever got in front of more than a dozen people at some sort of community meeting. Somebody wanted to know why did the fire engine show up because Henry was having a heart attack. So we can do a better job, and every time we get in front of them, if we're going to talk about smoke alarms, talk about the organization, promote that organization, tell them some things they probably wouldn't know. And to your point, ballistic protection, and it's I've got ballistic protection here before I got my turnout gear. Mm-hmm. So that I understand completely what you're talking about, but they're not wired like that. They don't, they think we put fires out, and we have to do a better job as organizations to promote what it is we do.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the presentation today, and definitely look forward to pushing it out on our YouTube channel with IFE.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Chief. I'll just echo what everyone else said. A lot of valuable information. We certainly appreciate it. And I think the information will keep benefiting people through our YouTube channel and other platforms. And so thank you again, and thank you for permission to post it as well.
Yes, sir. Like I said, get the information. If you need something, call, reach out. If I don't have it, I'll surely put you on to who does.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Y'all be safe.